Welcome to this episode of WikiSaid, Wiki articles read aloud. As always, we hope you enjoy and remember to subscribe and hit the notification icon to ensure you see all new episodes as they're uploaded. This episode is Operation Plunder. Operation Plunder was a military operation to cross the Rhine on the night of the 23rd of March 1945, launched by the 21st Army Group under Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery. The crossing of the river was at Rees, Wesel, and south of the river Lippe by the British Second Army under Lieutenant General Miles Dempsey, and the United States Ninth Army under Lieutenant General William H. Simpson. The 1st Allied Airborne Army conducted Operation Varsity on the east bank of the Rhine in support of Operation Plunder, consisting of U.S. 18th Airborne Corps, the British 6th and the U.S. 17th Airborne Divisions. Preparations such as accumulation of supplies, road construction, and the transport of 36 Royal Navy landing craft were hidden by a massive smokescreen from the 16th of March. The operation commenced on the night of the 23rd of March 1945. It included the Varsity parachute and glider landings near Wesel and Operation Archway by the Special Air Service. Battle. 4,000 Allied guns fired for 4 hours during the opening bombardment. British bombers contributed with attacks on Wesel during the day and night of the 23rd of March 1945. On the night of the 23rd of March, Companies E and C of the 17th Armored Engineer Battalion, part of the U.S. 2nd Armored Division, constructed treadway rafts to prepare the crossing of the Rhine about 5 kilometers south of Wesel. Bridge construction started at 9:45 a.m. and by 4 p.m. the first truck crossed the floating pontoon bridge. Over 1,152 feet, 351 meters, of M2 treadway and 93 pneumatic floats were laid in the 6 hours and 15-minute construction project, a record-setting for the size of the bridge. It took 25 2.5-ton GMC CKW trucks to transport the bridge parts to the construction site, part of the Red Ball Express. 3 Allied formations made the initial assault, the British 12th Corps and 30th Corps and the U.S. 16th Corps. The British 79th Armoured Division, under Major General Percy Hobart, had been at the front of the Normandy landings and provided invaluable help in subsequent operations with specially adapted armoured vehicles, known as Hobart's Funnies. One Funny was the LVT-2 Buffalo, operated by the 4th Royal Tank Regiment, under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Alan Jolly, an armed and armoured amphibious tracked personnel or cargo transporter, which was able to cross soft and flooded ground. These were the vehicles for the Spearhead Infantry. The first part of Plunder was initiated by the 51st Highland Infantry Division, led by the 7th Battalion, Black Watch, Royal Highland Regiment, of 154th Brigade at 2100 on the 23rd of March, near Rees, followed by the 7th Battalion, Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders, also of 154th Brigade. At 2 o'clock on the 24th of March, the 15th Scottish Infantry Division landed between Wesel and Rees. At first, there was no opposition, but later they ran into determined resistance from machine gun nests. On the same day, the 51st Division's commander, Major General Tom Rennie, was killed by mortar fire. The British 1st Commando Brigade entered Wesel. The U.S. 30th Infantry Division landed south of Wesel. The local resistance had been broken by artillery and air bombardment. Subsequently, the U.S. 79th Infantry Division also landed. American casualties were minimal. German resistance to the British landings continued with some effect, and there were armored counterattacks. Landings continued, however, including tanks and other heavy equipment. U.S. forces had a bridge across by the evening of the 24th of March. Operation Varsity started at 10 o'clock on the 24th of March to disrupt enemy communications. Despite heavy resistance to the airdrops and afterward, the airborne troops made progress and repelled counterattacks. The hard lessons of Operation Market Garden were applied. In the afternoon, the 15th Scottish Division linked up with both airborne divisions. Fierce German resistance continued around Bienen, north of Rees, where the entire 9th Canadian Infantry Brigade was needed to relieve the Black Watch. The bridgehead was firmly established, however, and Allied advantages in numbers and equipment were applied. By the 27th of March, the bridgehead was 35 miles, 56 kilometers, wide and 20 miles, 32 kilometers, deep. Aftermath. Impact on German forces in command. The Allied operation was opposed by the German 1st Parachute Army, commanded by General Alfred Schlemm, a part of Army Group H. Although this formation was considered to be the most effective German force in the area, it was severely depleted from its previous action in the Battle of the Reichswald. Unable to withstand Allied pressure, the 1st Parachute Army withdrew northeast toward Hamburg and Bremen, leaving a gap between it and the 15th Army in the Ruhr. Joseph Goebbels was well aware of Plunder's potential impact from the beginning. On the 24th of March, he began his diary entry with, "The situation in the West has entered an extraordinarily critical, ostensibly almost deadly, phase." He went on to note the crossing of the Rhine on a broad front, and foresaw Allied attempts to encircle the Ruhr industrial heartland. On the 27th of March, command of the 1st Parachute Army was passed to General Gunther Blumentritt, because Schlemm had been wounded. Blumentritt and his superior, Generaloberst Johannes Blaskowitz, both recognized that the situation was lost. The army's front was incomplete, there were no reserves, weak artillery, no air support and few tanks. Communications were weak, indeed, one corps was never contacted. The reinforcements were so poor that the generals decided against using them, to avoid needless casualties. Although Blumentritt had strict orders from Supreme Command to hold and fight, from the 1st of April, he managed a withdrawal with minimal casualties, eventually withdrawing beyond the Dortmund-Ems Canal to the Teutoburg Forest. Within a week of the start of Plunder, the Allies had taken 30,000 prisoners of war north of the Ruhr. Winston Churchill. British Prime Minister Winston Churchill was present at Field Marshal Montgomery's headquarters near Venlo on the eve of Plunder. Subsequently, Churchill and Montgomery watched the varsity air landings on the 24th of March. The next day, the 25th of March, Churchill and Montgomery visited General Dwight D. Eisenhower's headquarters. After lunch and a briefing, the party went to a sandbagged house overlooking the Rhine and a quiet, undefended stretch of the German-held riverbank. After Eisenhower's departure, Churchill, Montgomery, and a party of U.S. commanders and armed guards took a LCVP landing craft and landed for 30 minutes in enemy territory, without challenge. They next visited the destroyed railway bridge at Wesel, departing when German artillery appeared to target them. Military rivalries. The Plunder crossings in the third week of March were planned as the primary assault across the Rhine, but at the Malta Conference in early February 1945, it was decided to add another crossing to the south of the Ruhr. The additional crossing was intended to draw off any concentration of forces in opposition to Plunder. Two earlier crossings actually happened. On the 7th of March, U.S. troops unexpectedly captured the Ludendorff Bridge during the Battle of Remagen. Within the next 10 days, 6 divisions and 25,000 troops established a bridgehead on the eastern side of the Rhine. On the 22nd of March, General George S. Patton sent his Third Army across the Rhine, at Nierstein, to form another bridgehead. His superior, General Omar Bradley, released news of this crossing to the press, at a time calculated to take some of the luster from the news of Montgomery's crossing. Bradley later remembered that Patton had strongly urged the announcement, saying, "I want the world to know that Third Army made it before Monty starts across." In culture. Crossing the Rhine, Episode 8 of The Lost Evidence, The History Channel, UK, 2004. Heinz Bosch, Wilhelm Haas, Der Krieg am Niederrhein, Kriegsklev, 1976, German. World War II, Season 5, Episode 8 of Drunk History. That's this episode of WikiSaid, Wiki articles read aloud. As always, we hope you enjoyed, and remember to subscribe and hit the notification icon to ensure you see all new episodes as they're uploaded.